Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Hollywood Lot Life, where we explore the ins and outs of the elusive entertainment industry. If you've ever dreamed of working in Hollywood or making it as a studio executive, then this is the podcast for you. This show is brought to you both on YouTube and on anywhere you get your podcasts. So wherever you're joining us from today, thank you for listening. And please don't forget to like and subscribe if you're here with us on YouTube, or if you're listening to us, follow us on the podcast. Today I have a very special guest, my good friend Whitney, who works at Disney. Hello, Whitney. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Jackson. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
So before we jump into it, I'm just going to give you some fun facts about the company that you work for, and let's see if you know them.
Great, because I'm the world's worst Disney cast member. I know nothing.
Uh-oh. So then this might be pretty easy for me to...
I'm kind of excited. This is great.
Okay, here you go. The character of Dopey, one of the seven dwarfs from Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, was reportedly inspired by Walt Disney himself. It is said that Walt Disney used to play the character of Dopey during story meetings using physical gestures and pantomiming to act out the character's actions and expressions.
Oh, that's so cute. I mean, I always pictured Walt Disney as like kind of this lovable, kind, kid in a grown-up's body. And that just made it like so much more adorable. I'm like, man, what a guy, what a character. That's so cute.
Exactly. So that's, our fun fact number one. Fun fact number two of the day is Walt Disney had a specific clause in his will that required all scripts for Disney films to be approved by a company called the Script Department. This department consisted of a group of writers and editors who were tasked to reviewing and approving the storylines and dialogues for Disney films to ensure they are aligned with Walt Disney's creative vision.
That's really smart. Mm-hmm. I want to know if that still exists. It's got to if it's in his will.
Yeah, if it's
this isn't
made
a department
by the Walt
that I
Disney
hear
Company.
comment people aren't really talking about. Oh yeah, the writers, they have approved this whole story. But there's a part of me that hopes there's like a secret underground writers room that like gives the green light for everything.
They're like in the background just reading everything.
I'll definitely not do some digging and be Disney sanctioned behaviors.
Well, if you're listening to us, please in the comments let us know if that's an actual fact or not. So
yes,
both
please.
Whitney and I can know. So Whitney, are you from LA originally?
No, I'm not actually. I was a Navy brat, but I actually grew up in the Seattle area for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah.
And with that, so you're from Seattle, but did you jump around about being a little brat?
Yeah. I finished high school in Seattle, but I was like on the East Coast for a while. My brother was born out there. I was born in San Diego, so I guess maybe native Californian is still applicable. But yeah, went to Connecticut, Maryland, North Carolina, Florida for a little bit, and then Seattle for most of my high school years. So yeah, Seattle is home. But then once I graduated high school, I went out to Arizona and then landed in LA. And I've been here for like a good 6 years now, maybe 7. It's been a minute.
Time flies when you're having fun.
It really does. Yeah.
So you're not an LA native, but you love your career. What decided where did the passion come from of wanting to be in the entertainment industry?
Well, I was actually studying to be a teacher of middle school math before I got into film school. Yeah,
that's literally what my sister does.
Oh really? Man,
yes,
she's brave. She's brave.
Yes.
But I thought like hanging out with middle school kids and algebra was a strong suit of mine, and I was like, yeah, this seems practical. Which is what we all hope to be when we're little girls trying to figure out our dreams. But no, I remember an instance where my dad was just like, hey, out of the blue, he just walks in and is like, I just noticed that you're behind the camera a lot. And I literally was like making alien movies in my parents' backyard for years.
Amazing.
And I was like, wait a second. What if I did this instead? And I got really lucky and landed a full ride scholarship and was like, oh, okay, I don't have to worry about money anymore. Ever again, because that's what you think as a teenager. And I used that to go actually pursue the dream. So
where did you go to school for this? Was it in Arizona?
I'm a Sun Devil, man. I went to Arizona State. So I'm really smart. Went to film school anywhere outside of California, which was I think anybody who tells you now was like, why did you go to film school? Filmmakers don't need to go to film school. Especially if you're going to go to film school, you should go to a California school. But I was like, no, I'll take my scholarship. I'll go to film school in Arizona. And you know what? It was awesome. I loved it. I learned a lot. It was really, really small at the time, Arizona State's film school. And now they renamed it. They have new facilities. They've got green screens. They've got resources. They've got cameras
Wow.
for days. They have grown significantly. And I am deeply jealous of the students that get to go through there now. But it created a really cool environment for me to kind of learn some stuff and get my hands on things really, really early, where some people who just run and gun it and try to get into Hollywood the classic way of just showing up and making junk might not have that kind of access to those resources or to the people who have background experience. So I'm really grateful for my time in film school, even if it was
Very
outside of
cool.
California.
And what did you study? Was it acting, directing, editing?
So the school at the time was very focused on making sure you get touches on everything. I focused in cinematography, but I don't have like a concentration or a certificate in it or anything like that.
Hmm.
So I got to learn everything. It was very editing heavy, that school. We spent like multiple semesters just learning how to cut in Avid. We all trained to get certified in Avid. We, had directing classes. They made us take acting classes so we know what it's like everywhere around the camera. So no matter what you're doing, you have a little bit of empathy for that. That was like their fundamental philosophy on how they were training their students. And I was really, really grateful for that, just because now that I get into sets or into post rooms or whatever, I know exactly what everybody needs to be doing and what's their headspace is. So I'm not the jerk on set being like, this is what I need, and I don't know or care what you need, which, as you may know, is rampant in this industry.
So true. Okay, so you graduate from Arizona State and you move directly into LA. Where do you go?
Yeah, I got really lucky. My family, when I graduated college, my family ended up moving out to California too. So I was able to set up shop with them down in Orange County. They live in Huntington Beach now. And I got to go and live on my parents' couch for a couple of years while I was getting my bearings. So yeah, the first couple of years after college, I was freelancing, trying to just find gigs from Facebook groups and getting involved in as many weird things as I possibly could, because they don't give you a roadmap. You're not supposed to have a roadmap. It doesn't exist. And everybody in this industry will tell you that there is no one way to get into the business. And I'm really grateful that I learned that early on, because I was like, okay, I just need to get in a room with other people and start talking to folks and seeing how I can contribute to this. So yeah, I started out doing fashion shows and I learned Photoshop, and I was doing stills for models, for designers, people that I just found who on Facebook Marketplace, or people who I found on Facebook groups who were just looking for media professionals. So I was really grateful that I was able to find things that were really technically based, because now I have a wide range of experience from my early days that, set me up for where I am today.
Wow, that's so cool. And so you're basically freelancing, right, at this
Hmm.
point, or do you have like a steady job?
Yeah, I was freelancing for like a good year and a half. I think if I'm going to follow the trail of how my path led, I signed up for a a night on Broadway festival that happens downtown, because there's a bunch of theaters out there, and I was like, I'll volunteer for this thing that has nothing to do with creating media. But I met a director there who was looking for a DP, and I'm like, I can shoot something for you. I have a nice camera. Let's go. And that got me on my first music video set. And music videos were what I ended up doing for a good year after meeting that director. And I loved it. Music videos are so much freaking fun. They're super, super creative, and you meet a ton of people in a really
High
fast amount of time because they're
energy.
short. Yeah, yeah. It was so fun. And like, I wouldn't have met this person or gotten my foot in the door in that way had I not gone to this weird festival that actually a lot of people have heard of it. But now it's getting bigger and people are appreciating the LA art scene and the LA, theater scene. But it's just talking to people and being good to people in the moment and just trying to be on every day that you possibly can because you just never know who you're going to run into. So yeah, I worked with that director a little bit, who introduced me to a model, who introduced me to an artist who wanted to do another music video. Like that's really it. It's just being good for the people that you're in front of, so that they can say, "Oh, by the way, I worked with this one girl," and that got me my first PA job that landed me my first studio gig.
Wow. So wait, what were you doing on these music videos? Were you shooting? Were you
Yeah,
behind the camera?
yeah, I was shooting. So I start with that gig that I landed in at that festival. I I was actually shooting second camera at the time. Um, but I remember, I think the DP who I was working under was having some trouble with exposure, and so I was actually helping him out, trying to teach him that Sony cameras like to be sneaky about their exposure, and they really liked my work, and they said, "Hey, we liked what you did on this one. Can we bring you back for another?" And so I shot a couple music videos for one artist for a few music videos.
So you did music videos, and then what did you do in between the studio and music videos?
Okay, leading to Disney.
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, while I was freelancing music videos, I also managed to PA a ton, like just being on set, and that was where I was exposed to bigger, more proper sets. Because sometimes, like when I'm shooting stuff, it's like me and my brother doing our own thing. Um, my dad is an actor in Hollywood and is kind of climbing his way through the ranks as well. And so we used each other a lot, and he would put in his good name and I would put in my good name, and he uh, he was like, "Hey, I've got this kid. Do you need a PA?" And I was able to get on a short film set. Um, Again, not a huge deal, but then someone on that set knew somebody who was looking for an executive assistant. And I'm like, I can do that. I have really good executive function, and he hyped me up and got me a job at Painless Television, which is a reality TV show shop in West LA. And so that was my first like paid consistent gig. Like I had a contract and everything. It was great, and was the assistant to the president and four other VPs for that company. And I was in the room making reality TV for I was making reality TV for studios like Nat Geo and Travel and Discovery and a lot of really cool names that you would recognize, and that was just because I was good and helpful to someone on a set where it might have seemed like a insignificant project, but you just never know who you're going to be around. So yeah, that's how I managed to get into a quote unquote legit, it's all legit
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
shop to go make some cool TV. So that's how I landed in
What
television.
were you doing as like a PA and, on these different sets? What was your
Oh
job
gosh.
looking like?
PAs do everything and are expected to do everything, and you can't sit. Um, yeah, I was doing anything from setting up the crafty table to standing in so that the DP can, expose everything correctly, to just running messages from the director to the AD, finding people. Um, and just essentially being a PA is just making yourself available and ready at all times. And so it takes a lot of stamina and but if you're able to just kind of do that and let go of yourself for a second and be like, I'm here for the project, that's all I'm basically doing. And as long as you have that headspace, anything else that you're asked to do is really easy stuff. I mean, it's not like you're running the show or anything. And so you learn a ton just by standing around and being ready. Um, but yeah, just being the extra set of hands when everyone else is being frazzled. That's what being a PA is.
It sounds like to me the old adage of, hurry up and wait.
Yeah, exactly. You hear that a lot, and it's 100% true. Being ready to just chill for a second and having a good attitude about it. Like that's what makes you stand out as a PA. And I cannot emphasize enough how important those years are to your career, to getting found or getting the big gig, um, or just even building your network. Like being a PA and how you be a PA is very defining for your career.
And what your attitude is towards it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. Because people
So
feed off of that. This is a town of vibes, right? This is a town of people just if they feel good around you, you're in. And there is nothing on your resume that can change that.
yeah, 100%. I feel like when I started my career, I just went in to have a meet and greet, and she loved my vibe so much. It was just like, how can we hire you, basically,
Yeah, yeah,
based on the
exactly.
vibes.
They don't care if you're a college graduate. They don't care if you've been on a million other sets. But if you're just like good around a person and they just like you, that is all of the endorsement that they ever need.
And if they can stand you for 12 hours a day.
Yeah. Which is shocking because I'm surprised at the amount of people who I just absolutely cannot stand who are still in the room with me. And I'm like, how did you get here? You have a terrible attitude.
Uh-huh.
But we can have a discussion about Nepo babies later.
So you're doing these PA work, and then does Disney come calling, or are you wanting to explore more, or what? Like, walk me through this process of how you go from production to working almost corporate life, would you say? What would you
Yeah,
call it?
no, it was a slow stepping between being a PA, going into the executive assistant role at Painless at this reality TV stop, um, and being there. And I really want to emphasize that this is again my path, and it has absolutely nothing to do with anybody else's path because it was just a wild ride of being an executive assistant at Painless after being a really good PA to, hey, we need a post PA. You have a background in post. Can we move you over to the post department? Okay, yeah, I did that for a couple years. Um, and just the way that billing happens in television, usually employees are assigned to shows rather than the company. And so I was on a couple of shows that got renewed, and the last show that I was on, it didn't get renewed for another season fast enough for them to hire me again. So I had to get let go. That was at the end of like maybe middle end of 2019. And so I was unemployed for a couple of weeks, and I lucked out. I swear, it was an act of God that a recruiter reached out to me and was like, hey, Disney's looking for someone with your kind of background. Can I set up an interview? Somebody from LinkedIn, which never happens in the history of ever. This is all a word of mouth industry.
Uh-huh.
So I'm a believer. Like God was looking out because there is just no other way. And so I had an interview with my now employer. I wasn't a right fit for the job that I interviewed for, but he remembered me and remembered my vibes and was like, hey, we don't want you for this, but we want you for this. Do you want to come work for Disney? And I'm like, yes, please. I was less than a month unemployed before I turned it around again at the end of 2019.
Incredible.
And was an employee for Disney for a couple of months. And then the pandemic hit.
Ah, yes, we all remember those days.
Yes. Wild, 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 wild. I remember during that transition period too, like a lot was going on because I lost my job at Painless, then met my now mentor who was working with me for a while, and then got the Disney job, and then the pandemic hits and everything goes funky, and yet I'm still standing here today telling you that I'm still a cast member. It's stupid. My life is stupid and it's unrealistic.
Were you furloughed at all, or did you kind of work through the pandemic, or how did you make it through?
I got really lucky again because that's the only way you get through this business. I was not furloughed. My team is a full post production facility, as well as production, but I'm on the post side. And we managed to get all of our editors, myself included, remote systems really, really quickly. So we were able to do, the same quality, high quality level of work from home. And so we were all still working from home throughout the pandemic. So I never got furloughed. And I was really lucky because there was a lot of layoffs happening, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, where, employees who had been there for 30 years got laid off, seconds before their retirement was going to kick in. And I was able to stick it out. Really, really grateful for it.
I mean, I didn't work there that long, but I was one of those people during that
You
time.
were, I remember, man. It was a super drag, and it hadn't. And I don't know if it had anything to do with, work quality or anything. It was just they needed to cut down fast, and people who were really good workers got laid off. From my department included, you included. I've seen your stuff. Like it, it didn't make any sense because we lived in a time where nothing made sense.
No, it's so true. And so, what is your current title, or at Disney? What is your title, and What is your team, and what does your team do?
Yeah, so I'm a coordinator of creative services at Disney Entertainment. So my whole department is called Creative Services. We are a service provider for internal Disney needs, um, and we're kind of a little island of help in the Disney world, right? We're not creating original content or anything, but if anybody needs something done, like promotional material or music videos, anything that's short form, under 10 minutes or so, we can go in and help them out. So from front to back, we have a production team with a studio in the bottom of my building that has everything you could ever need for a shoot. We've got lights, we've got cameras, we've got action. And so you come and you bring in your talent and we'll shoot it for you. And then if you want us to edit the thing too, they'll send it on up to us. And that's my team. So I'm on the post side. And we've got, editors, colorists, finishing artists, audio engineers, audio mixers. And we're able to put some really cool stuff together for our Disney partners. And then if they need graphics or VFX or flame work done, we also have a graphics department that I work with as well. So we're all kind of this really tight knit, no more than I think 50 people in my department. But it's kind of a really cool run and gun post house that I'm on my side, and yeah, we do some really fun stuff for Disney.
That's so cool. Do you have any examples of like something cool your team has done in the past, or like of a visual effect that you can like talk about?
Yeah, my department is primarily responsible for. Okay, have you ever watched Disney Channel? Are you a Disney Channel fan?
Well, of course, growing up I
Of
did, yes.
course. So when we were kids and we were watching Disney Channel, there would be like someone that it's like, hey, I'm Hilary Duff from the Lizzie McGuire movie, and you're watching Disney Channel. Boop,
Yep,
boop,
yep.
boop. We do those. We call them wand IDs, and we do the glowy Mickeys, and we shoot the talent doing the little wand thing, and it's really cool.
That is so awesome. I've always wondered like how they did that.
Yeah,
Disney magic,
yeah.
I guess.
The Disney magic. I am not allowed to tell you, but it's awesome. Yeah, that's my team, and I was super starstruck because I got to go in and work with the artists who create the magic there. So it's a fun little identifier for my team. I'm very proud.
So what does your like day to day look like with your job?
um, it's very corporate now. I'm not on set nearly as much. However, I'm able to go down whenever I want to. But my day to day is show up, get asked a million questions before I sit down, because people need things immediately. Um, I am kind of the center of all requests that come through to our team. So anybody within the Disney sphere that needs something done, they'll reach out to me and my partner, and we'll both figure out, hey, okay, if you need this, this is the information we need, and here's an artist for you. So I'm kind of the face, if so to speak, also humbly about, or I guess I'm the face of creative services. Once people need something, I'm the first person that they talk to, and then from there, I'm working with any of the artists that are needed, and work through timelines. We work through our assets needed, and kind of get everybody set up, and then I let the artists do their thing. So it's a lot of being in the center of the gossip and the conversations. To
Almost like
satisfy
a
people.
project manager kind of style stuff.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So what are some of like the best parts of working in the industry for you? Like what brings you the most joy?
I'm really glad that I entered into short form because it's the coolest thing. Like, because the stuff that we're doing is kind of quick and turn around and nothing's more than a few minutes, we're able to do a lot of different cool projects and turn them around really, really quickly. So I'm exposed to a ton of different stuff. Like we do promos for Disney Channel original movies that are coming out, and sometimes we'll do interviews with cool talent that Disney Channel's trying to feature, and kind of spread the word about stories that are happening around the world. So you meet a ton of people, and it's always so, so exciting. Like there's nothing about my job that's mundane. And I think you run into that being like an entertainment industry professional, but especially with the work that I'm doing, um, it's always exciting and it's always fun and there's always new problems to solve and usually they get resolved pretty quickly because I'm very good at my job. and, and then we move on to the next thing and I get a lot of satisfaction out of just being able to help people get their projects done and they love coming to us. We always say that creative services is a white glove service. We want to give you the best of everything that we have and we have really really good talent and try to have a good attitude about it, like those values that I was talking about earlier today, where wanting to be good to and for your teams and good to and for your clients is really important. And I now work with a team that also values that.
That's so cool. That's, something that I think every team aspires to be is that white glove, like we can do everything for you
Exactly.
and you're just killing it.
It's so fun.
But that I feel like that leads into my next part where it's like,
Mm.
yeah, that's awesome, but what are the struggles? Because people are like, yeah, that all the glitz and glam, of course that's there, but what's the hard part behind the scenes that people don't really see?
Yeah. I mean, I have in my young age have now seen quite a bit of front to back, g- guerrilla style filmmaking to pinnacle of making media at the top entertainment company in the world. And everywhere you go, the same problems are going to be there, right? You still have people who don't communicate the same way you do, or who run into problems that they're just like, here, do this, and maybe I don't get enough information that I need, or other people. It's very interpersonal issues, and I think people think that once you get past a certain level that the quality is always good and the people who are there are all amazing, and people are just people. People have their own problems. They have their own personal junk, and it doesn't go away. I like saying there's no such thing as a grown up, which is kind of a very basic Disney value too, but in the pure sense when it comes to like issues and problems and stuff, yeah, we all still people are still people everywhere you go, and the same stuff that you run into at a regular corporate job, you'll find at the best of the best. And so getting a reality check there was not necessarily unexpected, but certainly it takes the glaze off the eyes a little bit. Um, but also it was really like reassuring to know that, oh, okay, I am also a human with my own problems and needs, and I fit here. So the Disney magic is just the people. And so if you find people beautiful and magical and fun, then that's exactly what it is. But you don't really get rid of the problems after after
Yeah,
making it.
everybody's
I don't know
just
if I
trying
made
to
it,
make
but
their way and get through it all.
we're just trying to get through it. We're just trying to feed our kids and pay our bills and make cool stuff that's going to make a good impact. And you'll find that everywhere. It's the same passion that you have when you're a freelancer trying to, make your dream come true. And now we're making a bunch of people's dreams come true.
And, all the kids around the world are seeing the little Mickey Mouse ears.
They are. It's so fun.
So you talked about having a mentor. Like, what did you go about that process? Did you like actively seek them? How did you bump into them?
I didn't actually. I follow Cole Walliser, who I've been working with for quite a while now. He reached out on his Instagram. Follow the people that you love on Instagram, people, because you never know when people need a hand. And so he was at the end of 2019. He was like, "Hey, I'm getting a lot of work done and I need hands. Here's a submission form. Tell me about yourself and I'll reach out." And I was like, whatever. He doesn't. There's probably a million, more talented people, in the city, and there are people who are very, very, very talented and who want it more than I do. I think about this all the time, but people who want it more than I do in this world, and especially in this city. And for some reason, he thought I was really, really good. There's a lot of reasons why he thought I was really, really good. But he reached out and he was like, "Hey, I thought your submission was really cool. Can you cut this thing for me and show me what you got?" And I nailed it. And he was really excited to work with me. And I I now have this really cool connection to someone who, if you don't know, Cole Walser is the director of like the glam bots at all of the award shows that you go to. Um, and is now doing a bunch of commercial work. He's a guild director, and it's so much fun. Coolest guy you'll ever meet, and is just really really willing to just like sit down and be like, hey, let me give you all the knowledge that I have. And walk you through this and give you access to some cool junk that I'm doing. And he very much elevates the people that he's around. So I've been really, really grateful to have him as a contact.
That's awesome. And I feel like those are the type of people you want around you so that you can go to and be like, hey, I have a question or I need your help. Like, how can you
Hmm.
help me? Or how can I help you? Similar to
Yeah,
like your story. And I think that's
totally.
a perfect example.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
So, do you have any like misconceptions, like thinking back to when you're at ASU and you're like, this is Hollywood, like, and now you're working in the grind, you're doing it all. Like, what are some of those misconceptions about Hollywood and the entertainment industry as a whole?
Yeah, I think like, even at the highest level, quote unquote, of, making content, the people that you're around aren't really all that like next level. And you're always running into the same problems. You're always running into people problems. You're running into communication issues. Like it is not this smooth sailing process once you get into a Disney room, once you get into a Netflix room, once you get into wherever. It's still work. It's still you have to hone your skills. You have to hone your communication. You have to hone in your patience and your endurance. And so I think the lesson that I was really grateful to learn early on, but had to learn quickly, was you have to get good at the level that you're at with the people that you're with, because that's the only way that you're going to feel fulfilled and feel like you're doing a good job. Because it's never like, oh well, I'll be, give my 50% now because I'm only working on a small budget film, but then this will get me to the next level and that's where I'll put in my 100%. It doesn't work that way. People can smell it from a mile away
Totally.
when you're half-fassing it. And it's the reason that people are successful is because they are giving their 100 when their standard of what this media or whatever they're making is might not be what their version of 100 is. It might not be their pinnacle.
No, 100%. I couldn't agree more. I think back to, we all envision Disney or Netflix or whoever that it just comes to them no problem. And it's like,
Hmm.
no, these are people that are giving their all and they're giving everything they can to make this high quality content. And it's like, it's draining. And it's like, you have to stay on your game. Or like you said, people will see right through that.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like, the other hand of that is giving a lot of grace for people and yourself when you can't give your 100. Because I run into folks all the time where I'm like, I'm working for Disney and this is the problem that we're working that we're working on. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, sometimes, people have their days and there's stuff going on in personal lives where they can't give their 100% and stuff falls through the cracks. And you have to prepare for that just as much and give a lot of grace to the people that you're working with, because it's just people. It's just humans. And that doesn't change wherever you're at. So get used to it and go get good at responding to it, and give yourself a lot of grace when you can't respond to it super super gracefully, just because there are ways you go and you make up for it, and as long as you're doing your due diligence, people will be okay with you.
Totally. Yeah. Couldn't agree more. Profound words. I think this leads perfectly into my next thought or question for you is like, so we're sitting in this hypothetical room right now, just the two of us, and like all the thousands of people that are watching this episode that are either at USC or ASU or wherever they are across this world, thinking like, how do I make it? What's your advice to them on like to break through, to make their big break? What would you give them?
Yeah, I would say go be good to and for everyone in the room. Forget yourself, go to work, go be helpful to the people who are trying to do some stuff, especially when you get in the room, because it does not matter if you went to USC Film School. It doesn't matter if you went to Arizona State Film School. It doesn't matter if you went to no film school and taught yourself everything on YouTube. It matters how you present. It matters how it matters what you give to people who might have more resources than you. And this whole town is all about like there's a lot of stress and anxiety when it comes to meeting new people and networking because everybody's looking around being like, "Oh, what can you get me? What room can you get me in? Are you my big break?" And that'll get exhausting at times. And I think if you're just figure out a way to be secure in yourself and just to be good and to give as much as you can without like let's not be, you know, encouraging the pay gap or anything, but if you are doing your due diligence and doing things in good faith and working really hard and not in the sense that like, you know, I'm creating all of this stuff working hard, but no, going and giving as much as you can while still protecting your peace and your space, that is where the luck comes in. I am a firm example of it that I didn't have a clear path. I didn't have a clear, you know, connection or anything like that. But I just decided I needed to go be good in the room. And people notice that and they elevate you. And I think that is the only reason that I got to Disney before I'm 30. I mean, I'm at Disney before I'm 30, and it wasn't because, you know, someone who knew me said, you know, come work for me. Like, that doesn't happen. And I think the only consistent factor was just letting go of the ego, letting go of you know, putting myself in everything and letting people exist in their space, being okay with what I am and knowing what I wanted to do, right? You know, I said no to a bunch of stuff, you know, things that may not have put me on the path that I wanted to do. And I think everybody has kind of a relatively clear idea of what they want to do. But if you don't, then just go be good. And everything else might not fall into place. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, if I'm sitting here talking to film school students, I'm like, your life is not going to look like mine. Your path is not going to look like mine. It's not going to be faster. It very well will be slower, and you have to get okay with that. So your perspective is everything.
Well, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to your timeline. Your timeline is not the same as anybody else's timeline. We're all on different timelines.
Amen.
We're all doing different things, right? Like, my story is not your story, and your story is not
Hmm.
my story, right? Like, I have worked for 6 different studios already. Like, 6. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's like, have I loved every single one of them? Yeah. Like, and they all have taught me something different. But just because someone works at one studio for 25 years doesn't mean that that's the way you have to do it, or you work for 25 different studios over 25 years. There's no
Exactly.
one way you have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you've had a really good attitude about like just taking the experiences where you have them and letting go of the spaces that like didn't serve you and rolling with the punches. And now look at you. You're living abroad and traveling and doing cool junk and making a podcast, and this is the life, man. Like this is how you
Thank you.
get through
Thank
it
you.
is that you know you're going off and you're paying the bills, which is essential. Like you do the side hustles and you try to stay focused as best you can, but it's not going to look the way you think it's going to. And as long as you're okay with adapting to those changes, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I think so many times it's like I said yes to so many things because it's like I'm ready for the challenge. Whatever it is, whatever's going
Yeah.
to come at me, I'm going to do it. And like you said, I'm going
Yeah.
to put it all on the field and just do it. And it worked out really well for me.
Yeah. And you probably failed a couple of times
Many times, many times.
and got your butt kicked and learned from those too. Like the willingness to go and put yourself in those scenarios, not really knowing if it's going to be the right step. We talk about that a lot too, I think, in society and in our culture is, you know, make sure you're making the next right big steps. And I'm like, you know, big steps are meant to be made so that you go and figure out what the next one is. And so, like, there's nothing that's going to be well and truly catastrophic unless you go, like, kill somebody or be gross. Like, go and take the step. Just do the thing. And if it sucks, like, as long as you have that flexible mentality, you can come back from it. You can decide, you can change your mind. Like, that's a big one about, like, being in the business. Is like, whether or not the factors that you are out of your control are working for you, you can change your mind about a lot. And there's no one way to do it. And if we let go of kind of our preconceived notions about what stability is or what success is, and just let the day to day be the satisfaction, yeah, you're going to have a really successful career and really interesting stories to tell.
Couldn't agree more. I think we're on very much the same page. So I want to ask you this. 5 years ago, what is this? 2018, before you're at Disney, you're grinding, you're
Yeah.
working that hustle. Could you predict where you are now? Would you be like, no, I'm on this path and I'm doing, music videos and I'm doing all this stuff versus that corporate life? Or are you like, oh, that would be awesome. I want to try that.
Absolutely not. This thing, like, in 2018, I was in the middle of my reality TV show stint, um, and I didn't know what I wanted to do next. Like, I know I've been, pursuing cinematography for a really long time, but I'm like, I'm sitting in this space. I kind of like the kind of funky content that we were doing. I mean, we were making paranormal and true crime shows. These
Amazing.
are not things that I watched early on. And the fact that now, I'm not 30 yet and I'm at Disney, that's stupid. That's insane. No one thinks that that's what they're going to be. And so, like 5 years ago, man, I was just trying to think, okay, what is it? All I knew was that I was in a company and getting a nice steady paycheck and getting comfortable and thinking, I'm a little too comfortable right now. And if I let stuff happen to me, it's going to happen to me. Do I need to start making bold moves? Now, the bold moves happen to me and force me out of it. So sometimes that just happens and you have to get okay with it. It's not like I'm making any groundbreaking decisions here. But you'll get into those moments too. You'll get into kind of a groove of something, and at that point it wasn't 100% sitting right, but also trying to be, grateful for the position that I was in because it was a really sweet gig. I was making cool stuff for you know, studios and for channels that I knew well and that was credible. Uh, but it's easy to get comfortable, and everybody here will tell you, you slow down, you die. You stop moving, you die. And comfort is the enemy, and all that ridiculous nonsense. And I had to sit there and be like, man, maybe that's true, but maybe it isn't, and maybe I get to be comfortable for a second, and that's this period of my life. And especially with like the hustle culture around here, it's just everybody wants to just be like go go go, and I'm innovating now, and sometimes I was just tired, and so being comfortable was okay. But I remember thinking about that and being like, okay, what is my actual next step? And I didn't know. And sometimes you just kind of open yourself up to the opportunities that come at you, whether or not that's a pandemic. Please let that not happen again. Yeah, no, it's like the fact that I'm here, it makes absolutely no sense. And it's cool. That's just how it happens. And I hope that, I hope your listeners have the same experience, because there's no formula. It's really not a whole lot that you're doing other than taking care of yourself and your home space. Because it comes at you no matter how much you try to control it, no matter how much, media you try to create, no matter how much vision that you have for your life. God laughs when you make plans.
So true. So true. And you got to just pave your own path and
Yes.
see what happens. Well, I want to just, thank you so much for being on this show. It really means a lot. Your insight into all things Disney and all things, entertainment has been so great. And I appreciate you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is super fun.
Yeah. And I hope, you're tuning in and listening to everybody else. And everybody at home, I hope, you can just quickly just hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost anything. I'm not asking for any money. Just, hoping to, give back to everybody that has given me so much in the entertainment industry. And, if you enjoyed this, please tell your friends and those, who could potentially be interested in joining the entertainment industry and want to hear about my great friend Whitney. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next time.